On January 9th, I attempted to address the Public Safety Committee. I was not allowed to do that at that time. So the reason why I'm here now is on January 12th, they demoted 30 correction corporals at the Correctional Center. Now, this is not about salary. This is not about the money those correction corporals are out. This is about the safety at the jail. Now, to you, I don't know if you understand what demoting 30 frontline supervisors means in a correctional type facility. But in the meantime, I wrote a letter to Legislator Dunn, who's the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, and I CC'd every legislator just to clearly show the issues we have with these demotions. Now, the next day after the demotions, our union was in court. We believe the demotions were done illegally and unlawfully, and that's an issue decided by a judge for a different day. But what I'm here today to show you is the problems that are at the jail right now, and you've heard a lot of them before, but the problems about security at the jail now. Now, on any given day, there's anywhere from 17 to 19 housing areas that requires corporal supervision. Since January 12th, we've had 10. So every day, there's 7 or 8 housing areas in the jail that have no frontline supervisor working on it there. Now that's for one tour. So for the day, it's 14 or 16 areas that are not supervised by a corporal. Now when we're at maximum capacity, there's 21 housing areas that are not, that we have at the jail. So again, then we'd be short 11 corporals at that point. But the sheriff, and I'm not here to beat up the sheriff, I'm not here to beat up County Executive Megano. I understand everyone has a job to do, but they also have a job to do to run the jail safely for the officers, for the inmates, and for the visitors that come there. Now, since 2009, we've had over a 10% reduction in correctional officer staff. Our head count has gone down 10%. Since 2009, we've had a 40% reduction in frontline supervisors and corporals. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if it normally costs you $100 to fill up your gas tank and you go 200 miles for the week, if you have a 40%, if you only pay $60, you're not going to get the same 200 miles out of that $60 worth of gas. It's no different with supervision at the jail. If you reduce the supervisors by 40%, you've lessened security in the jail. Now, I know County Executive Megano had his spokeswoman say that we're just being silly and childish and supervision has not been reduced, but I'm here to tell you it has. Absolutely has. And all of this was for a total salary savings of just over $214,000. So right now, this legislature voted to approve these demotions to save $214,000 worth of money for 30 corporals. It's not a lot of money. One lawsuit, and that's gone exponentially. And it's happened before in the past. In the early 1990s, they tried to cut corners at the jail. They had one officer patrol 2 observation tiers, and that saved money at the time. Until an inmate was assaulted by another inmate, the officer was on the other tier, and that inmate was awarded $900,000. So the money they were looking to save in 1992, they paid back tenfold. This is no different. I'm asking you to rethink your decision about the corporals. Now, I know what the answer is going to be. I'm not holding my breath. I'm just telling you, you don't realize what's happened at that jail. So far, year to date, just this month alone, today's January 30th, we've already had an inmate homicide at the facility. That was before the demotions. They started off the week with an inmate homicide, and they ended the week by demoting 30 frontline supervisors to save $214,000. That doesn't make much sense to anybody.
Your 3 minutes have expired.
Thank you very much. They've already had 20 uses of force by staff to stop inmates' aggressive and unlawful actions. They've had at least 25 officers sustaining injuries performing to their duties as correctional officers. This past Friday alone, an officer was assaulted at the gatehouse by an ex-inmate who was there to post bail. And he's posting bail for a currently incarcerated person. Now, the gatehouses are open 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Wrap up, please.
No problem, Legislature Committee. But unfortunately, only during the 40 hours of the current visiting are the gatehouses doubled up, where there's 2 officers there. So for 76% of the time, that gatehouse officer is by himself. They're allowing people to come in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to post bail or to put money on inmates' account. But the officer's there by himself. We had over 40,000 people come and visit the jail last year. And you add to that number the list of people posting bails and dropping off money, and you have a lot more visitors at the jail. You have one officer alone, vulnerable to unlawful visitors, and you can see where there's problems at the jail. This is not about salary, it's about safety, and all these moves were done to save $214,000. It doesn't make sense. Like I said, I CC'd everyone a copy of the letter. I met with Legislator Dunn, I met with Legislator Gonzalez, I met with a lot of legislators up here. I'm always here to talk about it. I'm not here to beat up Sheriff Scazzaro. I'm not here to beat up County Executive Magano. But they have a duty and an obligation to run that jail safely, and that's not being done. Thank you.
Thank you. You asked us to reconsider our decision to demote those corporals. That was not our decision. That was not a decision made by this legislature. It's a decision made on the second floor, the administration, the county executive, and his people. And you guys them to reconsider. Okay. Audrey Maines. What?
I just wanted to straighten out one part of what John had mentioned. John, just to have it on record, when that prisoner was killed on a Saturday, that Monday you came in to speak, not knowing what you were going to say and having to be in a position where we have to protect Nassau County, not knowing what you were going to say. Two reasons that I wasn't able to hear what you had to say at that meeting. Well, three reasons. One, we go on what the agenda is, and then that's it. We don't really, unless it's something I want, and I bring up to question you on. That's one. Two, that young guy was murdered on Saturday, and here it is Monday. I didn't know if you were going to say something on a record that could, put us in a bad light if we are sued. And that morning on News 12, the mother said she was going to sue us, so I didn't want anything to go on record that could hurt the county. And you're not knowing, or my asking a question could have hurt that our chances if in the event there is litigation. And then number three, I wanted the entire legislature to be here to hear what you had to say. And I'm glad we did, because what you did say, interests all of us, not just the few that's on that committee. So it's very important that you speak to the entire legislature and give us your feelings on what's going on in the jail in your eyes. So that's the reason why I didn't have you speak at that public committee, the Public Safety Committee.
I appreciate that, Legislator Dunn. And just for the record, I told you that day, and I've told you since then when we met, I was not there to talk about the inmate homicide that happened at the jail, because it was still being investigated by the proper authorities, and I was not going to comment on something that was still under investigation. But I was there to talk about the impending demotions of the corporals and the public safety issues we have at that jail, and that's what I was talking about. And they started off the week with an inmate homicide, and they ended that same week by demoting 30 corporals, which to me is asinine.
Thanks, John.
John, I just want to say something. I'm sorry.
Legislator Jacobs.
First place, I can't believe what I've just heard. Certainly at every committee meeting, we should not be censoring the people that want to get up and speak to us. If something is touched upon during a comment, then we don't have to exchange ideas on it, and we can say, we'd like to say that that's not the proper place to discuss this. But I feel badly for you, I feel badly for anyone out there who gets up to speak, and we're going to be the censors of whether we think you should speak or not. Let me tell you, there isn't a committee meeting that goes on here that's not open to the public, and sometimes I think we forget that. So I apologize. I apologize.
Legislator Ford.
John, thank you. Just one clarification, because maybe I don't know if I heard you properly. When you talk about the offices that, the guard shack, I guess that would be where, the gatehouse, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So in the past, it always been 2 officers in that guardhouse, and now there's just 1?
There was additional patrol vehicles and additional gatehouse officers that were there, but now it's down to 1 officer, and during the visiting hours, there's 2 officers there.
Just 2?
But it's been intermittently 1 and 2 officers.
Okay, and you said the visiting hours is 24 hours a day? or
No,
they-
the visiting hours are not 24 hours a day. The jail has to accept anyone who's posting a bail 24 hours a day.
Okay.
So even when visiting is closed, and the officer is by himself, someone can come and post bail to bail out another incarcerated person. As a matter of fact, what happened on Friday, even though it did happen during visiting hours, it was not a visitor going in, it was someone going to try and post bail.
Okay.
And he assaulted the officer. So had that been done when there was only one officer there, it could lead to a more serious problem.
Okay, so then the officer would be in the guard gatehouse?
Gatehouse, correct.
And if there's only one and somebody wants to come in to post bail, does he have to leave his post to bring that person there, or he just lets him
He
in?
doesn't have to leave his post, but he's by himself out there.
Okay,
That's really the issue.
okay, all right, thank you very much.
Legislator Bosworth?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. John, I think we all have to take very seriously the concerns that you're bringing to us. When we first heard about the demotions, many of us here expressed that concern. And I understand that there are tremendous budget challenges that we're facing, and the county executive is working very hard to address them. But when it comes to public safety, when it comes to the safety of our officers, I don't think there's room to play with that. And I know that the minority caucus did vote against that. So to say that we had nothing to do with it, I think is, that's why we have the system of checks and balances. The executive makes one recommendation, it's up to us to either support it or not support it. Clearly, it was supported by more people than wasn't, and that's why it was put into place. I'm concerned about it. I think it's something we do need to address. I'm so glad that you're coming to us so that no one can ever say we didn't know. We know. You're telling us.
Legislator Bosworth, my point here, again, and I've said this 3 times already, I'm not here to beat up Sheriff Spizzato, and I'm not here to beat up County Executive Mangano, but they have a duty and an obligation to run a safe jail. Now, if we don't learn from the mistakes of our past, we're doomed to repeat them. If we don't see the warning caution lights and we ignore them, what's going to happen? It's, people didn't heed the warnings of the crime lab, and look at the problems there. So I'm just here trying to tell you that we have a lot of problems at that jail, and people should be paying attention.
And I think you're doing that admirably. Thank you.
Thank you.
Legislator Denenberg?
Just a quick comment. You did say on the record when you were here, and I'm reading it on the record, that you were not there to speak about the incident at all. You made it very clear, and I compliment you for it. You made it clear that you weren't speaking about the incident, and you wanted to speak about the demotion. So, I couldn't agree with you more in terms of making it clear what you were speaking about. And like Legislator Bosworth said, whether it was our decision or not as a legislative body, we got to vote on the demotions. And that vote could be reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Audrey Maines?